Mournhold, also known as the City of Light and Magic, was the capital city of Morrowind in the Third Era, and the largest and oldest city in the province. Mournhold is located in the heart of the Deshaan region of Morrowind's southern mainland. Mournhold was built over the ruins of an ancient dwarven city called Bams Amshend, which was located beneath the city, with its vast domes and unique machines. In 1E 2920, at the end of the First Era, the city of Old Mournhold was destroyed by the Daedric prince Mehrunes Dagon. Almalexia and Sotha-Sil came too late to prevent this destruction, but they managed to banish Mehrunes Dagon back to oblivion. In the Second Era of Tamriel's history, Mournhold served as the capital of the Ebonheart Pact, an alliance of Nords, Dunmer, and Argonians who defeated and repelled the Second Akaviri invasion. In 2E 582, the city was infiltrated by the Maulborn, a secretive Daedric cult posing as a charity organization. Part of the Maulborn force managed to enter the Tribunal Temple through the sewers and opened portals to oblivion inside. They were eventually defeated by the soul-shriven hero, who worked with Almalexia to eradicate the Maulborn threat. At the end of the Second Era, Mournhold was conquered by Tiber Septim, who returned the city to a civilian government. The legendary Queen Berenzia ruled the imperial province of Morrowind from here. With the advent of imperial rule in Morrowind, Mournhold became a town of two minds. There was the monarchy led by the imperial-appointed queen, and the temple led by Almalexia. While there has been no open hostility between the two, there were always undercurrents of tension. The power mainly stayed with the temple, and the monarchy seemed to acquiesce to this reality. In the beginning of the Third Era, Mournhold was known as the Holy City and was named Almalexia, after its patron deity, one of the living gods of the tribunal. Only the central temple compound retained the old name of Mournhold. In 3E 396, slave revolt in the House Dress lands to the south escalated into a full war between Morrowind and Black Marsh. Morrowind's armies ultimately defeated the Argonians and expanded Morrowind's territory to the south. It was at this time that King Helseth took the throne and ruled Mournhold. The royal palace formed the center of the city and was home to King Helseth and his mother Berenzia, who were protected by the royal guard garrison and offered imperial cult services. The temple to the north housed the High Chapel, home to the divine Almalexia. In 3E 427, Mournhold suffered a series of cataclysms. Creatures created by the reclusive tribunal god Sotha-Sil suddenly appeared in the city and began attacking all who lived there. The Dwemer ruin Bams Amshend was suddenly revealed in the attack and subsequently became accessible. At the same time, the Nerevarine, sent by the Emperor Uriel Septim VII, destroyed the heart of Lochran, which resulted in the tribunal losing their godlike powers. Troubled by the new king, the reincarnation of the Nerevar and the loss of her godhood, Almalexia went insane. She turned on Sotha-Sil and slew him in his clockwork city. The Nerevarine was lured to Sotha-Sil's city where Almalexia's powers failed her and was slain by the Nerevarine. In the Fourth Era, following the aftermath of the Red Year in 4E05, Mournhold was the center of relief efforts to Vardenfell led by House Redoran. Around a year later, the city was sacked by the invading Argonians of Black Marsh, and Morrowind's capital was moved to Blacklight. By 4E201, the Mournhold Temple was renovated, and the last vestiges of Almalexia's marks were gone from the city. At that time, Mournhold was still being rebuilt, a pale shadow of its former self. The Elder Scrolls III Tribunal is the first of two expansion packs for Morrowind. The DLC added Mournhold to the game, in addition to the hidden city of Sotha-Sil and a huge dungeon to explore. When playing the Tribunal DLC, your levitation spells don't work. The in-game lore says that levitation is forbidden in Mournhold, as it is offensive to the goddess Almalexia. But the real reason is this. During development, the team at Bethesda made Mournhold's apparent exterior cells to look like interiors, and the interiors were made to look like exteriors. This is the real reason levitation is disabled there, because if one used levitation to fly over the walls, one would find nothing very far beyond them. When playing the Tribunal expansion, You meet the legendary Queen Berenzia at the royal palace of Mournhold. She says,
Mournhold is a town of two minds. On the one hand, there is the monarchy, led by Helseth, and on the other, there is the temple and the goddess Almalexia. It is hard to know whom you may trust. While there has been no open hostility between the two, there are always undercurrents that bear watching.
You also meet the divine Almalexia at the High Chapel of Mournhold. She says this about Sotha Sil.
Once upon a time, Sotha Sil was like we are, Lord Vivek and I. He spent time among these mortals, instructing them, counseling them, protecting them from harm. He may have loved them more than any of us, though I know not why. It has been many years since any have seen the sorcerer, though. Many more since he took initiates into his service. I believe he grew weary of mortal imperfections and retired to his clockwork city, where he reshapes life, and some say the very world, into an image he finds pleasing.
When playing Skyrim, you meet Adril Arano, a Dunmer who greets you when you arrive at Raven Rock. He talks about Mournhold.
Blacklight is the capital of Morrowind. Been that way ever since Mournhold was sacked by the Argonians. I don't visit there often anymore, but we still get the occasional supply ship and visitors from there.
Mournhold is a pale shadow of itself compared to its heyday in the Third Era. This is mentioned in a book you find when playing the Dragonborn DLC in Skyrim. As you explore the Length Farm, you find a note called To Malor from Nilara, where it says,
Malor, I hope the day finds you well. Well, Athras and I have finally mustered the courage to return to Mournhold and pick up the pieces. We haven't been back to the manor in almost 50 years, but things haven't changed much. The city feels a bit empty. Berenzia's palace is still completely unoccupied, and most of the Redoran Guard have been reassigned to other parts of Morrowind. They've continued to make improvements to Mournhold Temple, removing the last vestiges of Almalexia's mark and adding a new sanctuary. Plaza Brindisi Doram has changed as well. House Endoril has erected a large building there to house all of the new pilgrims and priests that seem to have flocked here to pay their respects at the temple.
That was a discussion on Mournhold, which is a memorable location when playing the Tribunal DLC of Morrowind. It is the last major town most players visit, and is an important landmark in the Elder Scrolls series.